Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander with the Launch Edition package. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Imports for giving me some time with this Outlander. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed CVT automatic. Fuel economy is 24 around town and then 30 on the highway, with power outputs being 181 horsepower and then 181 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the Outlander Launch Edition. So first off, you still have the same hood, just like on all the other new Outlanders, and the gigantic Outlander badge there in the front with the Mitsubishi logo just down below. And you've got a camera down below that. You've got the LED accent lights here at the top with the LED lights just down below. They are LED reflector lights. And then notice you've got parking sensors here all along the front end. And other than that, that's the front of the Launch Edition. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 55mm tires wrapped around 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. As for the design on the wheels, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's kind of got this like blade-like look to it because you have the silver on top of the black there with the wheel itself. And other than that, here is your full side view on the Launch Edition. Now let's pop into the rear of the Outlander. So first off, you guys will notice that just down here we've got some extra storage space with one of the headrests, and then we have a gigantic headrest here. Like, it's so big. Notice you've got the cargo cover right here. You can take it out if you do want to use the third row. This is just to pull down for the second row, which is definitely a nice little thing. For the third row, you've got these straps to pull it down. But other than that, that is everything for the back. So you. Now here's the door panel in the rear. So first off, we got the leather all along the door panel here with the stitching just down below in the middle, and then on the armrest as well. You've got the carbon fiber trim, and then here are the seats, which I absolutely love. So you've got the leather with the Alcantara all throughout the center of the seat with the stitching that goes all throughout, and then you've got more leather trim and stitching right there. Notice you've got a couple of vents right here, and then here with the center seat, you guys can kind of see how that all forms. And then I'll pop in quickly. And then you guys can see that legroom is solid, and you do get a storage pocket here in the back. Now here's the door panel in the front. So again, you've got all of the leather trim here on the door panel with the stitching down below. Got the carbon fiber with all of the window controls, and you've got your mirror adjustments right there. And then here are the seats in the front. So again, full leather, Alcantara all throughout. You've got your adjustment there on the side of the seat, and then you've got the pedal layout just down below. The steering wheel is manually adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. Here's the steering wheel on the Outlander. First off, you got the perfect leather here on the sides, so you can get a little bit of a better grip. And then you've got the soft touch leather at the top and at the bottom. And then notice you've got your cruise control on this side with the voice command and phone control. And then over on the other side, you've got the controls for the center screen, and then your volume controls. Paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel. And then you've got the windshield wiper stock, and then you've got the light turn signal stock, and that's all for the steering wheel. Here's the center gauge cluster. There's a few different menus you can scroll through here just to give you different bits of information on the Outlander. Pretty easy to use. And then I love the full digital readout. I think it just looks really good. Now we do have a few different drive modes that we can go through. So notice that you've got your Eco, and then we've got the normal, and then we've got our tarmac, which is kind of like the sport mode. And then you've got your gravel, snow, and then your mud mode. I love how it shows the Outlander in the different conditions. I definitely think that that's just kind of pretty neat that they did that. Here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, you guys can see that there is a backup camera. It does have trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and then you do have a bird's eye view on top of that. Remember, you do have the parking sensors. So from a camera and parking perspective, it's really solid. And then if you pop it into park, then it'll just do that. And then if we press the camera button, notice that you've got the camera view out the front with the trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel out the front. So it's actually really good for on-road use, but also off-road as well if you ever take this off-road. And then you've got that side camera and full front camera, and that's all. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, it is a touchscreen. It's really easy to use. Response time on the screen is really good. You guys can see here with the navigation screen especially. And then you've got all those shortcut buttons there at the bottom portion. But yeah, just overall really good infotainment system. We've got our stop-start button here. We've got the vents. Notice how those go across, and I love how they continue the line to the other vent, and I think that looks really neat. And then coming down below, we've got the climate controls. This does have a dual zone climate, and then we do have heated seats here for the front, and we've got a bunch of charging areas, so USBs, 12 volt, and a wireless phone charger. Here's the shifter for that 8-speed CVT, and it's pretty easy to use. Just put your thumb in and then pull it down for drive, push it up for reverse, and then if you want to go into the manual mode, just pull it down again and then push it in with P for park. Pretty easy to use again. And then we've got the parking brake right here with the auto hold, all of the drive modes right here, and then notice we've got our hill descent control right there in the center. Couple cup holders right here. We've got the center console, which if we lift that up, you guys can see storage space in there is really good. And then notice again with the dash, all of the stitching. I already mentioned the venting, and then we've got more soft touch down below. Glove box, and well, that's all. Up top here, we do have a full panoramic sunroof. The controls for the sunroof are just right here. Sunglass holder, and that's all for the top. Now, in terms of pricing, this Launch Edition SE stickers for a little bit under $35,000. And that all being said, well, let's take it out and see how it drives. Let's quickly go over visibility before we set off here in the Outlander Launch Edition. So first off, visibility over the hood is actually really good. It's easy to tell where everything ends. And then here's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear. And that all being said, let's set off. We are setting off here in the 2022 Outlander Launch Edition. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and ride quality. And guess what? I just drove the 2022 Hyundai Tucson right before this, so I actually can make some direct comparisons. Ride quality wise, it's very smooth. They're actually really close from a ride quality perspective. This might just be a little bit smoother, but it's very, very close. And then in terms of a noise insulation and everything in the cabin, really good. And again, compared to the Tucson, they're both really close. This might just be a little bit quieter. It's super windy, and I don't hear any of the wind here from the interior, so it's just very well insulated. And then in terms of the steering and all that, it's actually very light here in the Outlander, which I really like. It gives you that kind of nice luxury car feel because of how light the steering is. And yeah, I mean, so far it definitely, I think that's kind of what they're going for with the new Outlanders, to make it feel more like a luxury vehicle, and it's definitely accomplished that. And then we'll see how the turn-in is here. Yeah, really controllable, really nice as well. And then the CVT, it's responsive, and that's not even in the tarmac mode, that's in the normal mode. We'll pop it over into the tarmac mode, and it'll actually get even more responsive, which definitely is exciting. And you guys know that I actually really like the CVT in the new Outlander because it's very responsive, and you can still feel to an extent that it's a CVT, but it feels more like an automatic regular torque converter automatic compared to most other CVTs on the market. So we're going to be getting an acceleration in just a little bit, but we're going to go over this little kind of bumpy section and kind of turning section as well. It's just really smooth over all of it. And the steering is actually pretty direct for an SUV. It's very light, but it doesn't have a whole lot of on-center deadness. They did a really good job with the tuning of this particular steering rack, and we'll see how the brakes are coming up to here. Yeah, stopping power is great. And I can tell you guys right now, we are more comfortable than this person in this G63 G-Wagon, because that thing rides horrible. This thing rides really smooth. But let's get our acceleration here in just a second and see how she goes. So you do feel the transitions with the CVT just like any other CVT. That's where it kind of feels most like a CVT, is when you are kind of at higher RPMs. But the transitions are really quick. They're really smooth, really seamless. Acceleration is great. It's right where it needs to be for this segment. And that'll get me to summing things up with this Launch Edition. So from the exterior, it looks just like all the other Outlanders pretty much, which I don't think is a bad thing because the new Outlander is a very good looking SUV. Interior wise, I love it. I love these seats. They're very comfortable, and I love the Alcantara in the center. I definitely just think it's cool. It feels nice. And the thing that's nice about Alcantara is it stays pretty neutral temperature wise. And so you don't get like that, you know, super hot or super cold feeling when you're in the sun or in the winter time, for example. And then from a driving perspective, the new Outlander drives really nice. And again, I think most people are gonna be comparing this to Toyota RAV4, Nissan Rogue, Hyundai Tucson, all that kind of stuff. Here's what I have to say is the new Outlander stylistically, I think it looks really cool. They've definitely differentiated it from the other vehicles. And they've really brought up this interior. It feels really nice and upscale. Everything works great. All your touch points are really nice. And so just as an overall package, I think they've absolutely nailed it. And so if you're in the market for a new SUV, you have to at least check out the new Outlander. And if you're looking at the new Outlander, I would recommend the Launch Edition. It's really good. Now that's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander in the Launch Edition. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Imports for giving me some time with the Outlander. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.